So today we're going to prepare a worksheet. And to do that, it's fairly straightforward. We're going to use exercise 7 on page 258, the trial balance that's listed there. The worksheet is an informal business paper used to organize and plan the information for the financial statements. It's informal because none of the data it contains will be directly posted to accounts. That function still belongs to the journal. The worksheet is also done in pencil or on a spreadsheet as we're doing, so any last minute changes can be made. So the worksheet starts with, there's a heading. You've got the company name, the name of the worksheet, and you've got the date at which this is being done. Then you've got the list of the accounts. You've got 2 columns for the trial balance, 2 columns for the income statement, and 2 columns for the balance sheet. You're going to enter all your accounts. You'll enter all their balances, and you will calculate the totals at the bottom. The next part will be to transfer these totals over to your income statement columns and your balance sheet columns. And we're going to use cell references to do that. So here I've done that. And if you look in each of my cells, you can see I've got a cell reference. The idea is that I'm only going to enter my numbers once, and that will save me time and especially minimize my mistakes. So you'll notice with the first set of accounts, they are all balance sheet accounts, so they'll fall under balance sheet. Some of them will be debits and some of them will be credits. In particular, pay attention to your HST recoverable, which has a debit balance, as well as your drawings account, which has a debit balance. Then we move down to the next set of accounts, which are income statement accounts. You've got your revenue accounts, which are credit balances or have credit balances, and then your expenses, which have debit balances. And again, we're going to sum them up, and you'll notice that these 2 figures are different as they are over here. So that takes us to the next step, which will be inputting our balancing figures, inputting our if statements. At this point, what you should do is watch the video on if statements. And pause this video. So now for if statements, they are going to go in here. So if you look at my formula bar up here, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to make one change. Actually, 2 little changes. I had changed these a bit earlier. So you can see with our income statement that our revenues are greater than our expenses. And our goal for this bottom line is to have each of these match one another, as well as each of these match one another, because these are our income statement final figures, and these are our balance sheet final figures. In here, you'll find these are figures that we call our balancing figures. So if we have a profit, it'll go in here because our revenues are greater than our expenses. And if we have a loss, that would mean that our revenues are less than our expenses. So our balancing figure would go in here. And so when you look at our if statements, they will confirm that. So here it says if E30 is greater than D30, then if that's a yes, you're going to subtract D30 from E30 and put the number there. If that's not the case, then you'll just put 0 in here. If we look over here, it says if D30 is greater than E30, then subtract this number from this number and put it in this cell here. If that's not the case, just put 0. And we do that over here as well. I'll let you take a look at those if statements. Now, here's a trick. If you have a profit, your numbers should be in this cell, in the two outside cells, and it'll be the same number. If you have a loss, they'll be in these two cells. So that's a quick check to make sure you're doing everything correctly. And these are just summary figures down here. So if I was to test this out, and so what I'm going to do is I have to do the same thing to both a credit balance and a debit balance. So I'm going to, let's say, reduce my revenues by $40,000. So instead of 40,000, so instead of 89,000, I now have $49,000 in sales. Don't forget that if we do something to the credit side, we also need to impact the debit side. So just to make it easy, I'm going to reduce the property account amount by 40,000. Because my trial balance needs to balance. Is it in balance? No, it is not in balance. Now, yes, it is in balance. Now notice what happened over here. Now our revenue is lower than our expenses. And so because our formulas were correct, our if statements were correct in here, it then shows us our loss in this cell. And then when we add these two together, both of these final figures are the same. And that happens over here as well. The loss is reflected in here. It's our balancing figure. And then our two final figures are the same down here. And that's it. So your goal for this evening is to prepare your worksheet to this point with your if statements. And I will change these two figures back. And that's it.